Welcome to my panel about EVA foam. My name is Julie Whiteley, and I am excited to be here, a part of JusticeCon. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. It means so much to me, and I am just happy to be a part of this event. And I'll teach you a little bit about how to work with EVA foam and some of the methods and ways that I use it. And hopefully it will be helpful to you as you begin some of your own fun projects. EVA foam can be used to make armor, props, weapons, all kinds of things for your cosplays. Let's get started. Okay, here I have a few different types of EVA foam that you can get locally at your craft stores or online, like I've done with a couple of different kinds here. So these are my favorite. They're just so smooth, both sides, and they come in different thicknesses. This is 6mm, this is 4mm. You can get it in 2mm, 10mm, 20mm, whatever you want. This is called Wandy foam, W-A-N-D-Y foam. I get this from a seller on eBay. It is my absolute favorite. Other ones that work well that I like, I get this, these foam sheets, foamies. You can get these at Joann's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. Silly Winks are also at craft stores, and they come in nice and thin. This is only 2mm thick. I use this on a lot of my upper layer, like the top layer of things, just to give some dimension. This is a 6mm. And when you apply heat, and you form it to the shape, it holds really well. The thicker that it is, the stronger it's going to be. So keep that in mind. If you were to make like a helmet out of something this thin, it would be very flexible and not hold its shape super well. But if you were to make a helmet out of something this thick, it would hold its shape very well. The thicker you go, the stronger it is. So like for the Armored Batman that I made, I used really thick foam to give it that really thick, bulky look. So first we're going to start with the Wonder Woman headpiece. So I have printed out something that kind of gives me an idea of what I'm trying to make, and I'm just going to get down to it and start making it. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I always start with the back, whatever the base of the thing I'm trying to make. So I'll always have like a piece that's this shape in the back. That's the base that I'm gluing all my other layers to, and that's going to be my thickest layer, my most substantial layer. And so what you would want to do is figure out how wide you want your tiara to go. This isn't going to be completely around my head. I will have elastic or something that like goes under my hair, because you only ever see the front part of Wonder Woman's tiara. So I'm going to probably just make it as long as this foam is, which is 12 inches, and then I will just extend it with some elastic around my head. Always start by tracing you trace your pattern with something that you can see really well. Pencil doesn't work very good, but just about any pen, marker works great. Just use something that contrasts with the foam. You're going to cut it out and paint it, so it will not matter. You know what you use when it's all said and done, because it's gonna be painted over and you won't be able to see any of this. You will be able to see, like if I messed up and I drew this, let's say like this, and I pushed really hard with my pen, those indentions will probably show So you have to be careful not to draw anywhere on the top where it's gonna be visible. If you want that to be smooth, you don't want to get any you don't want to draw on any of those. So then I always use one of these razors that let me get it up close here. If you can see, it has little lines that I can snap off the blade and continually have a nice fresh piece. You can also sharpen them to make them last longer, but these are just super cheap and what I use. So we're gonna start by cutting this out. You want to try to hold your blade straight unless, you know, you are joining two pieces, then sometimes you will want to cut it like this to get a certain angle. But for this, we're just going to cut it straight. Okay, at the top. All right, so I want a thinner foam now to add all the layers. So I'm gonna get my 2mm and I'm going to get my scissors and cut out, see this dark gray is the back layer. So I'm gonna cut that out so I can easily see my next layer that I'm trying to do. And this piece is going to be one, I think right here. I'm gonna just draw those lines. So I can see where this is gonna go. And instead of cutting this piece out here, this line will just be carved. So it'll look like a layer, but I think it'll be easier to do if we just simply cut this one out and this one out. I'm gonna draw the next layer. I'm just gonna draw connecting dots here. You know, you want to have this piece, and then this one is going on top. So you need two separate pieces to give it the best look. Okay, so I have my layer here. Oops. So I have this layer, which is this one. Now that I have this drawn, I'm going to cut this one out and make it a little easier. The last layer is going to be these stars. So we're going to cut it out. First, I'm going to do the back one that I can't see all of. Okay, so there we have my star. Okay. We're gonna go kind of like that. Okay, really quick, let's talk about some glue. The glue that I use is barge cement. Basically, you can get several different kinds of this. This is my favorite though, but if I've run out and I'm in a pinch and I need to glue, like I'm in the middle of a project but I've run out of glue, you can go to Walmart or Lowe's and get different contact cements. They just don't have barge, but they do have other kinds, and they do work. But I always try to keep a big jug of this on hand. It just is my favorite. So I'm going to now glue all these surfaces, and I'm not going to be very careful with where I put it on here because I'm going to cover this with Plasti Dip, and it'll cover the all the glue. But you do want to try to keep it smooth because any glue that is visible will add to the texture if it is not smooth. And one trick to making it really smooth is to take some scrap foam and I'm going to use this piece here. I'll use this one, it's thicker. So take some foam you're not using and just rub it. It gets it nice and smooth. Make sure you don't have any on the edges. It's okay if you do. I just like to get my glue as smooth as possible. It just makes for a better contact when you get it on. So this is the side that I want up, so I'm going to turn it over and apply glue to this side. Okay, I'll show this camera here. You can see that it's not shiny anymore. It's dry. Paint is in there. A little bit tacky. You hear that? A little bit tacky, but it's not like gooey and wet. So that's when they're ready to be applied to each other. ends don't quite line up, but that is okay, because the ends will not be visible. This is gonna go under your hair over here. So I'm just gonna come over here and cut those off. Next thing I need to do is add my stars. And this is kind of tricky, but thankfully with the magic of paint, it really looks good. So this is like an X shape. Then this one, I'm just trying to push everywhere that needs to be pushed. And then I'm going to carve those lines right here to make it look like its own layer. When I apply heat to those lines, they're going to spread open and be a visible. There'll be a visible space there. So I'm going to go get my heat gun and finish this up. Okay, so here's my heat gun. You don't need anything fancy. You can get these pretty cheap. You don't need to get the best ones. They work just fine. A really hot hair dryer works for minor heat work, but so here's my heat gun. Now what I'm going to do is apply heat to the surface of the foam that I want to paint. You can do the other side to help you form your foam, but it's not necessary to get it really for painting, if that makes sense. You can, I don't know if you can see, but it's a really smooth foam now. What happens when you seal the foam, when you heat seal it, the cells in the foam collapses. Makes it a really good texture surface now to paint. But I would first always use a sealer just to make sure you get the smoothest application of paint. And I always use Plasti Dip. So I will show you that again when I go out to the garage to do it. But before I would do that, the next thing I would do is I take my Dremel and I go over all the edges just to make sure that they are all lined up. Like right here, my black is sticking out farther than the white, so I'm going to Dremel that, make it nice and smooth, make all the surfaces where I cut, get any glue off the edges. I'm just going to make all the edges nice and clean. And close this. I usually do this outside, but I'm going to do it in here for this camera. Then you're gonna heat seal all those edges for the paint. And you don't need to heat this and turn it to a curve like this, but you can. I'm probably gonna do just a slight curve so that the paint doesn't get pulled and cracked or anything. Foam can get quite hot when you're doing that, so be careful. So that's got this part right here curved how from a way that I would like it. This is basically how it's going to fit on the head anyways. All right, here is what I like to coat my foam projects in. Before I paint, I like to give it a nice seal with Plasti Dip. Usually just a couple layers is enough, a couple thin layers, but if you when you're done with those, if you don't think it's a nice thick surface, you can always do as many as you want. Okay, this looks good for the first layer, and all that. So when it's wet, it looks really, kind of slimy looking, but it's gonna soak down into the creases as it dries, and then we will give it another quick spray and then paint it gold. So here we have the cyborg helmet cut up. So this was the duct tape that you saw me cover the foam head with. I've cut it up and put darts in it wherever needed so that it would lay flat. And now each piece has been cut out of foam. I'm using 6mm foam for this to give it a nice structure. And when you look at this, it can be hard to figure out where everything goes to go back together. In fact, if I forgot to cut something out, like, how would I even know? So when I put this together, I'm going to be looking for things. When I cut it apart, I put little markers on it to help me remember and see how things line up. So these little marks I transferred to the foam, and when I go to glue them together, I will look for those marks and line them up. That just helps me to know which side goes where, so that if there's a question about what piece goes where, I can kind of see the shapes. Like this is a round earpiece right here, so then I would look for a round earpiece that has 3 marks in about the right spot, and this one does. So then this one goes here, and then there's going to be another piece there that has a little V. That's this one, right? So it's just a matter of it's like putting a puzzle together, and the more you detail your pattern, the more details you put on your pattern, the easier it will be to put it together. So now I'm going to quickly glue this together, and this will probably be in fast motion here, just so we can see it come together quickly for the sake of time, and then I'll add some more details, get it painted, and try it on. So here we go. looks kind of round. So then what you would do is when you apply the heat, you kind of shape it. You press out the eyebrow a little bit, contour the eye, flatten it. Heat this so this bends around the chin and comes up, but it's looking like the skeleton of Cyborg Head. I'm gonna quickly just add some details, and I'll do that off camera just so it's basically the same thing that I'm doing. I'll just cut out some layers, glue them on directly. One thing that I haven't showed you that I really love that has enhanced my ability to make some cool details. Cannot find my ruler. Now I have a flexible ruler, and I probably left it at my other table, but in a flexible ruler you can either use a flexible ruler or you could even use a piece of foam, right, a straight edge of foam that hasn't been cut yet, because then it can bend on your surface and keep a straight line. So I'm looking for the back here. Right here I'm going to have a square and a circle and some other things, but right here I could do some cool designs. Maybe I'll do it this direction. I'm just eyeballing this, but you could just, for demonstrative purposes. Okay, so I've got some lines there. Then what I'm going to do is with my blade, thought I heard a kid, with my blade I'm going to, because this is thick, I can do this in my hand. It's easier to do this before you cut it and you just score on the table, right, on the nice hard surface. But because I've already got it glued in and I'm just adding some lines, I'm just going to carefully do it here. It's like you're drawing. So you're not going all the way through. If you can see, I've got a cut here, but it doesn't go through. Okay, I'm just barely scoring the top, just a little bit. One more. I should do something like that over here to mimic. Just make these kind of straight. Okay, now I'm going to get my heat gun and show you what happens when you apply heat to those lines. So here's my heat gun. Now you got to be careful when you apply heat to a freshly glued surface, because it'll want to expand and open up, and then you'll have to quickly push it. Make sure you go over seams that have been glued after you apply heat, because they'll want to open up a little bit. But let me show you these. Push down my seams. Let me close those back up. And this is the back of the helmet. It really won't matter. And I'm going to have another piece going over the top. But let me see if you can see how those lines opened up on their own. These ones are still, just look like they were drawn, right? Really have to push on them to open them. They're just totally flush still. But these ones are nice and open. So that's just a cool way to add some detail. Let me show you it on this black. And this will also, see if we can get some light on this. Hopefully you can see this. So this is where I put those lines. So watch what happens to the foam, both the appearance and then what happens to those lines. It gets nice and smooth and shiny. Can you see that over, it's hard for me to see what's going on, but can you see the difference? Like this, I didn't put heat over here, but I did right here. And you can see like this, if I paint this with Plasti Dip and even just regular paint, you could just put paint right on there and this would be beautiful. But I always like to seal it with Plasti Dip. And if you put Plasti Dip on this and over here, it's going to absorb the paint into those holes and be, it'll be a splotchy paint job. But if you paint on this heated surface, it's so smooth. The holes have all, the cells have all collapsed on themselves. And so this makes it beautiful to paint. And again, those lines are just so cool. You can do so much details in your foam work when you use this technique. Okay, so now I'm going to shape my helmet and add some more details, and then I'll just surprise you with what it looks like at the end. Ta-da! How's it look? I think it looks pretty cool for an hour and a half of work or so, and that's including me making my special project of my Ray Fisher project that I'm working on. So now that we can see this cool headband comes back here, this is where the elastic got threaded. It goes, just put it on, pull some hair on top and done. Really comfortable. By not painting the back, you don't have to worry about the paint coming up in your forehead or anything. And it's I mean, heck, why not just wear this every day? Go to the grocery store and be Wonder Woman, right? Why not? So now I'm going to do some movie magic, take a pause, and then go get my other project that I was working on and show you just a little bit of what else you can do with EVA foam. I mean, there's obviously we got Armored Batman behind me and Superman behind me over here, but there's just a world of fun things that you can do for yourself. So just I really hope that you have fun trying your own projects, and I would, you know, if anybody needs help, I would love to help you personally, to draw patterns, to give you advice on how to make whatever it is that you're trying to make. And I'm going to leave you with my fun Ray Fisher project that I'm working on, and I'll be right back with my cyborg. And ta-da! Here is cyborg. I've got, you know, a little bit of work to do still, but as far as a cosplay, you know, to just do the headpiece and a neck, not too bad. And if you had more time, you could put some lights up in here and a light in here. It'd be pretty cool. Got them sitting on. I'm not broken. I'm not alone. And neither are you. JusticeCon 2021. It's been amazing. Everybody, you're not alone. If you need help, reach out. Reach out to AFSP, reach out to your friends on Vero, reach out to your friends anywhere, please. Personally, I'm here for any single one of you. You're not alone. You've got me and you've got the rest of your fandom. Snyder Cut fandom is amazing, and we are all here for each other. So don't forget that. You're never alone. I got my autumn ring on to remind me that I'm not alone either, and that I can be strong for her and for you. And we're in this together, people. Love you. Peace. Stay strong.